The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Monarch Fantasy. Go in up to 325 times your entry with their new pick 8. Sound the promo code SGPN to claim your special pick and actually MLB SGPN to claim your special pick and a first undeposit offer of $2 of bonus cash. Monarch Fantasy promo code MLB SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today. Go to sportsgamepodcast.com. That's Rhythm, sportsgamepodcast.com/RITHMM. And welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is currently Friday afternoon, roughly 5 p.m. Eastern Time on June 22nd. 28th, I mean. I'm your host for this one, Reichel, joined by Lonte Smith. And together, we're going to break down the games for Saturday, June 29th. Lonte, how's it going with you?
What's up, Scott, man? Doing pretty good. I guess like they gave me the access to like how you guys have it on StreamYard. So it's like fucking me up. So I'm trying to make sure I don't click anything to...
You can hit the end stream button right now in the top corner and sabotage it for everybody.
Yeah, that's why I'm staying away. So I'm looking. I'm looking around like, what the fuck? So, but yeah, I'm doing good, man.
There's a confirmation button, by the way. If you hit end stream, it says, "Are you sure you want to end the stream?" So
yeah, I'm good. I'm staying away from it. But yeah, man, I'm doing good. Ready to get into it, man. It's a good baseball card all weekend. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it should be fun. It's been a lot of fun watching baseball if you're not watching the Yankee games as a Yankees fan. But I had the Blue Jays team total over yesterday, and they got there in 5 batters. So that was nice.
Had the Blue Jays, period.
It was a terrible scheduling spot with the rain delay, and Rodon is not very good anymore. But anyway, we'll talk about the Yankees in a bit because they do have a game coming up. Any other takeaways you want to mention? I saw Chris Sale did lose to the White Sox 1-0, which is, that's a next level pain that I can't even relate to. But I feel bad for Chris Sale.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really that caught my eye, to be honest. I mean, I thought some of the things that we discussed even in our last podcast was still somewhat of the same storylines. I mean, Houston's hot, Boston's hot. Outside of that, man, I think not the Dodgers, but the Phillies, 2 of their best hitters are. I don't. Have we got updates on Schwarber and Harper?
They're on the IL. Schwarber and Harper are on the IL, but they're expected to return before the All-Star break.
Okay, that's fine. But yeah, so outside of that, man, I thought it's been pretty much just how we not predicted it, but I mean, it's just been smooth sailing. Outside of that, nothing overbearing to me. I mean, unless you can bring something to my eyes. It's that, it's been painful watching the Yankees struggle and the Orioles take over the division. But like I saw a Yankees fan tweet, the last time we won the World Series, we had the same exact record in June. So, hey.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're going to save the Yankee talk for a bit, but I want no part of them right now, and we'll see how they look for the rest of the weekend. But anyway, before we get into any of the games on the Saturday card, 15 games on the card, so once again, a lot of games to go through. Do want to remind you once again first that we do have some fantasy football content with the network, because if you check out the Sports Gambling Podcast, they have started their top 10 fantasy football preview series. Quarterback and tight end episodes are already live, so it's never too early to get into the National Football League. And once again, if you do have an early fantasy draft, then Sean and Ryan do have you covered with their fantasy football series. Anyway, time to start off with the actual card. Starting off with the first game, you have the Rockies taking on the White Sox. Unfortunately, I don't have the toilet bowl sound drop that's in the NBA show one, but you can play it if you want to in your heads, because this is going to be a brutal series between 2 teams. Maybe it's entertaining, but both teams are awful. You're looking at the Rockies, though, laying 120 on the road. Damn, Cannon's terrible. Okay. White Sox, even money at home. Yeah, the 11 and 29 Rockies on the road are favored in this game. You have Quantrill pitching against Cannon, and you're looking at the over-under being around 8.5. Cannon, we saw, get absolutely torched by the Tigers, which is almost impossible to do, but he did it as he gave up like 8 runs in about an inning. In that last start, Quantrill's been fine recently. Been kind of solid. He might be a trade piece, actually, for this team. So I guess that's why the Rockies are favored. White Sox, though, on a bit of a heater. They won 1-0 yesterday against Chris Sale. I'm going to ask you, in this matchup between 2 bottom feeders, do you want to lay 120?
No, I do not. I lean that way, but I'm not going to spend my hard-earned dollars on that. Instead, I'll just go with the under. I think both teams are struggling offensively, very, very much so. I mean, White Sox are hitting under 215 versus righties. Colorado's offense is a little bit better. I mean, they're around average. But if you look at the last 10 games for the White Sox, they're hitting 190 total. 1.8 runs per 9, Scott. So they're not doing anything. They're under in 9 of the last 10, 3 runs or less in 9 of those 10, 1 earned run or less in half of those, so 5 games. Colorado, not much success outside of Coors. Even in Coors, they haven't been great. Just at certain matchups they perform better, but they score 4 runs combined in their last 3. 2 of those were on the road, just further proving that. But I mean, I can't trust either pitcher. I mean, I guess I would go with Quantrill over Cannon, but I mean, I don't have anything, like logical for that. I mean, it's kind of like just you're tossing the coin up in the air. But I do lean with Colorado, but I like the under even more. Thankfully, we don't have to bet every game.
Yeah, I'll go with the under as well. Even though Cannon did give up 8 runs, 5 of them earned in that 1 inning against Detroit, he was actually really good his previous 2 starts. 8 2/3, no runs against the Astros at home, 7 innings, 1 run against the Mariners. So even though his ERA is very underwhelming at 4.59, massive outlier. He was actually really good before that, so I think that he might be undervalued in this spot. Might be a decent buy low spot for Cannon here. I don't mind the under 8.5. You said both teams can't hit, so I think that's how I'm going to look at it. I'll go with the under, but I think I am actually going to lean to the White Sox. At home, they're not good either, but I don't want to lay 120. I mention this all the time. If it's a coin flip, you're going to give me even or plus money. Give me tails, and hopefully we win the coin toss. Either way, moving on to the next game. Going to look at a matchup between the Reds and the Cardinals. For this one, you have a pretty interesting pitching matchup as you have Spears. I think it's Spears. Spears taking on Gray. Gray's around -165. You have the Reds at +140. Over-under in this game is set at around 8.5. There is an 8 available, though, so you can shop around and find a better number if you want to. Cardinals 2 games over. The Reds are still occasionally having solid outings, but mostly not great. And we saw them bury the Cardinals 11-4 in the first game of the series. I will mention, though, that Spears not allowed a home run yet. 31-3, no home runs allowed, so there's that. Gray, though, has been really good. So I think looking at this matchup, I'll go with the Cardinals. I think that at the end of the day, the first 5 might be tempting, as Sonny Gray has been a very solid pitcher. He's not going to win the Cy Young this year, but he definitely is going to be in the running to be a finalist. So I think with that being the case, I think he's a better pitcher, and I do think the Cardinals are in better form right now, despite dropping the opener in the series. Give me the Cardinals first 5 -0.5. You?
Yeah, I kind of like that as well. I didn't think about the first 5, but I do. I echo those sentiments. But the underdog has won this game in 5 of their last 6. Cincinnati won yesterday. I was on them yesterday, actually. I thought it was a good spot. They were +128 yesterday. Both of the bullpens have been better than the starters in the last 10. I think we see some offense here, so I link to the over as well. But I think I like that first 5 a little bit better, knowing that Spears, he has a high hit rate, 7 hits in each of his 2 starts versus Pittsburgh, whose offense is, below average. I think we can all agree on that. St. Louis is over in 5 of their last 7 home games. Cincinnati's offense picked it up since that Pitt series a few weeks ago, since the first Pitt series a few weeks ago. So I like the bats to get going here. I would lean to St. Louis full game, but I do love that first 5 that you brought up. So lean over is probably my favorite play in the game, but I'm with you with the first 5 as well.
Yeah, not going to spend much more time on that game. Moving on to the next one, you have the Yankees taking on the Blue Jays. The Yankees in this one, by the way, the over-under in this game is set at 8 or 8.5. You have Cortez against Bassett. Cortez on the road is not really a good option, so that's going to be pretty difficult for me, at least, to lay with the Yankees at -125. You're looking at Bassett, though. His numbers have been pretty good so far this season. Basically similar numbers to Cortez, but his home road splits are not as alarming as Nestor's. Been great lately, though. He's allowed less than 3 runs in 4 straight. And ironically, they've lost all 4 starts. So he's got no run support at all. But he's been very good recently. Yankees are an absolute free fall. They can't pitch. They can't hit. They're laying again. Give me Toronto. I'll keep fading the Yankees until they turn it around. You?
Yeah, I'm with you. Toronto offense actually has picked it up lately. 29 runs in their last 4 games. So I like the over here. You mentioned the pitching on the road. So I think that's pitching at home or on the road. It don't really matter. Yankees just haven't been able to do anything. ERAs over 6 for the bullpen, over 8 for the starters. Their opponents have scored 7+ in 7 of their last 10. So I think we see some runs here. Bassett actually has been really good against the Yankees. The last 3, he's been lights out. 1 earned run allowed in 21 innings pitched. So he's been good. The record I like these pitchers with bad record or quote unquote bad recent records in their last 5, but low ERAs. I think we can get some value on them like we're getting here. 1-4 in his last 5, 1.6 ERA though. So he's pitching well, like you mentioned, not getting a run support. I think he'll get it. I think he'll get it tomorrow. So I like Toronto as the home pup here.
Yeah. Moving on to the next game, you have the Marlins taking on the now depleted Phillies. You're looking at the Phillies being around minus 275. You have the Marlins at plus 225. Munoz is pitching for Miami. He's not any good. And Nola's pitching for Philly. He is quite good. 9-3, 3.39 ERA. For the over-under in this game, you have the line set at 8.5. Juice to the over, though. Munoz isn't good, but I might have to lean under here. I think Nola's pretty good, and I don't know how Philly's offense is going to look without arguably its 2 best players. I know Schwarber, batting average-wise, might not be the best. His on-base percentage, though, is pretty solid for a leadoff guy. But since he's leading off, they got to reinvent the entire batting order. So I do wonder if that's going to mess with the flow of some hitters. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to lean to the under. With Harper and Schwarber being out, I can't really take overs because how many guys do you still like in that lineup? You have Turner, who's been kind of up and down since he came back from injury. You're looking at Real Muto, who I think solid, but what else do you really have in that lineup?
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't think about it from that perspective at all, about the lineup change and people moving up, people moving down. You're relying more on guys to come through in spots that they're not normally known for coming through in. So that's a great point by you. I wanted to lean over just because of Munoz. I just don't trust him, and regardless of who he's pitching against. I mean, I know we just talked about the lineup, but I mean, he's allowed 4+ in 4 of his last 5. He's got a high contact rate. The Phillies are at home. You know, we all know they hit better at home. I'll lean over. I mean, both teams hitting the ball really well. Philly, I mean, obviously these numbers are with those 2 guys. 10.8 hits. Miami is 7.8. So, I mean, honestly, if it was anybody else on the mound, Scott, I would take Miami. I really would. I like how they've been playing lately. I like the top of their lineup, hitting-wise. And they've just been feisty as of late. But I just can't trust Munoz, so I'll lean to the over.
Yeah, it's kind of the same boat. I would take a Miami money line if it was not Munoz, but it is. I forgot to mention, by the way, that Bohm has also been good this year.
Yeah, Bohm's
a guy
good.
that I wanted to mention. But I forgot to mention him before. Nothing really else to add. I kind of want to wait and see with the Phillies until they play a couple games without Harper and Schwarber before I make a new assessment of that team. But I do fear that they're going to be priced like they are fully healthy, like minus 275 in this one. And they're not worthy of being that price. So I'm going to pass, but if you want to take Philly, good luck. It will not be me joining you. Moving on to the next game on the card, you have an NL Central game between the Cubs and the Brewers. The Brewers are slight favorites, about minus 115. You see the Cubs at minus 105. You have Steele taking on Myers. Steele's 0-3 with a 3.08 ERA. That is rough. Myers 5-2, 3.12 ERA. The over-under in this one is currently being set at 8.5. I like the under in the game. We know Steele is not allowed to win games because the Cubs either blow it or don't give him any run support. I'll go with the under. He faced off against the Brewers this season already. He was very good. I don't think he gave up a run in that start, and then the bullpen blew it immediately. Myers has been fine, though, and I think you're going to see a lower-scoring game. So give me the under. I see a 4-3 type game.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I definitely can get behind that. It's just a shame how, you know, Steele's not been able to come up with any kind of run support, like you mentioned. But I think they've played 7 times already this year. And Milwaukee's 4-3. I think they've been pretty competitive games for the most part. But I just can't trust Chicago at this point. I mean, they're reeling 2-5 in their last 7. Not a good road team. They're 10 under on the road. They've been hitting the ball okay, but pitching has been bad. Even the starters, you saw, you know, Imanaga was kind of propping them up a little bit. And, you know, Steele has been okay, keeping them in the games, but the starters and bullpen ERA is, you know, nearly 5 in their last 10. Milwaukee does not hit lefties well, so that kind of puts me on pause, but I'm leaning to Milwaukee. I think it's a little bit short, but they just don't hit lefties well, even in an advantage spot. I mean, they're on a 4-game winning streak here. Obviously, depending on what happens tonight, they're 6-4 in their last 10. I like Myers, 5-0 in his last 5 starts with 1.4 ERA. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Milwaukee here, Scott. I just a complete fade of Chicago.
Yeah, I get it. I will also include the Cubs are currently 16-26 on the road, and the Brewers are 25-12 at home. So minus 115 is pretty cheap. But you mentioned
Yeah.
Milwaukee not hitting lefties well. That kind of bodes well for the under. So I'll go with the under in that one. Before we get into any of the other games on the card, do want to remind you once again that we are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy because they have a new type of option, which is the Pick 8, which is now live. Create entries up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex your entries. So you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement's higher than ever. Best part, you can now win up to 325 times your entry, and you can now use specials and boosts for all flexed entries. I'll probably use something Pick 8 related for WNBA. So next time Asia Wilson plays, I'll take the higher on her points because why not? Plus, if you're already a user, deposit now between now and UFC 303 for a 10% bonus cash. A reminder, sign up the promo code MLBSGPN to claim your special pick and a first-time deposit offer up to $2,000 bonus cash on a fantasy promo code MLBSGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Million, pick 5 NFL teams against the spread each week and compete for $6 million, or you can choose the other contest, which is to survive the NFL Gauntlet to claim the $10 million Survivor prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. Don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football. Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go out. Hang with Ryan and Sean and enjoy some of the open bar events at the world's best sportsbook. And you're looking at the dates of that being August 22nd through the 24th. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Just finished going through the first couple games on the Saturday card. Time to keep it rolling. Just finished going through the Cubs and the Brewers game. Moving on to the next game, you have the Guardians taking on the Royals. For this one, you have Bybee pitching against Reagans. You're looking at the Guardians at minus 105. The Royals are minus 115. The over-under in this matchup is currently being set at 8.5. A lot of 8.5 so far on the card.
Yeah, definitely.
For this one, I am going to go with the under. I think that both pitchers can pitch well here. Bybee's been fine. I think Reagans has been solid. And you're looking at the Guardians bullpen being really good. Kansas City did sneak away with the series opener, but this team has not really been hitting well for a month. So I think that bodes well for the under. I would lean to Cleveland on principle because I think that minus 105 is a good price for a team that's 23 over 500. But I am going to go with the under. I see another low-scoring game. You?
Yeah, I could kind of get behind that. KC offensively has been poor pretty much. I mean, they're under in 9 of their last 10. 3 runs or less scored in 7 of their last 10. Hitting under 190 in that span as well. And Cleveland does hit lefties pretty well, so I'm kind of leaning to their side as well. I think Reagans is good, but I mean, just Cleveland's going to hit you. Cleveland's going to hit the ball. I mean, they're not going to try to, hit it out of the park. They're going to just play sound baseball, small ball. So it's up to Reagans to kind of see if he can go 5, maybe 6, only 1 earned run allowed. I think that may be enough, but the top of Cleveland's lineup is just so good as far as just getting on base and making things happen. I don't know if I'll be able to trust it. So I like the under, lean to Cleveland as well.
Yeah. Moving on to the next game, you have the Astros taking on the Mets, the 500 Mets, as they're 39-39. You're looking at Valdez pitching against McGill. For this one, the Astros are minus 125. The Mets are plus 105. And the over-under in this game is set at 8 or 8.5. For this one, looking at the overall matchup, both teams have been really hot recently. The Mets ended up beating up on the Yankees as they won both games rather convincingly. As for the Astros, they have been taking care of business as well, and they're only 4.5 back. They've won 7 straight, so once again, they might be closing in for the AL West crown. We'll see what happens. Valdez, though, has been really good. He has allowed less than 3 runs in 4 of his last 5, so I do think he's in line for a good showing here. McGill has not exactly been great this season, so I do think the Astros have an advantage with the starting pitcher. I will go with the Astros here. I do think that with the recent form and with the starting pitching advantage, I will go with the Astros. Maybe first 5, but I think McGill is not exactly great, and I think Houston could potentially tee off against them. So give me the Astros. What do you like for this game?
Yeah, I'm not in the business of fading either one of these teams. I caught a bunch of L's thinking that it would be a good spot for the Yankees to bounce back and kind of get some, I thought they were undervalued for that series against the Mets, and I was completely wrong. So I'm just going to sit this one out. I know Houston's hot. I mean, but the Mets are hot as well, like you mentioned. I'm going to go over 8.5, Scott. I mean, even though Houston has owned New York in the last 10 matchups, they're 9-1 in the last 10. Both teams hitting the ball really well. Houston's hitting 289. The Mets are hitting over 300 the last 10. Each averaging double-digit hits, so they're really hitting the ball. If you combine their runs per 9, I mean, it's well over 10, 14.3. The Mets hit lefties well. Houston hit righties well. I think it all lines up to a lot of runs here, man. So I'm going over that 8.5.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. I think I prefer Houston team total over personally. I think Valdez could pitch well here, but I'm not sold on Megill. I think Megill's going to struggle in this one. Yeah, moving on to the next game, you have the A's taking on the Diamondbacks. For this one, you are looking at a pitching matchup of Harris against Gallen, so it should be a fun one. Haven't heard Gallen's name in a while, so nice to see him back. Just to look at the last time Gallen has pitched. He has not pitched since May, so you might remember he gave up a hit on the first batter to the Mets, and then he got injured. But he's not pitched in about a month, so we'll see how he looks. For this one, though, the over-under is currently being set at 8.5. Houston is obviously a massive favorite as they're minus 190, and Oakland is plus 160. For this one, it might be a hot take because the team's 20 games under 500 on the road. I'm going to go with Harris on the money line. I don't know if I should blindly trust Gallen, who has not pitched in a month, to lay 190. He might be on a pitch count. I don't like Arizona's bullpen. Oakland's not a good team. I'm aware of it. But minus 190, I can't lay that with a pitcher fresh off the IL who is probably going to be who's probably going to go, like 5 innings tops in this matchup. I can't put faith in that. I think minus 190 is too big. I'll lean to Oakland. You?
Yeah, I like Oakland as well. If you look at just past history, Oakland's had a good track record against the D-backs. And you never know what to expect with, guys coming back. I mean, we saw Scherzer come back and pitch really well, and then we saw Cole come back and he pitched okay as well. But I mean, those are small sample sizes, so you never really know what to expect with a guy who's been off. What was his issue? Like, what happened with Gallen? I forgot about that.
I'm trying to remember if it was an arm or a leg thing, but I remember that it was an immediate hit because I had the first 5 under in the game, and then he got injured on the first batter, and then I actually won the bet anyway. But I have to remember how he got injured. He ended up hurting. It was a hamstring. He pulled a hammy in the first batter.
Well, that's better than an arm. I mean, for whatever that means. But yeah, Oakland's won 7 of the last 10 versus Arizona. Both starting rotations have been pretty poor. Oakland ERA for starting pitchers is above 6. Arizona's is right at 5. And I think Arizona does hit lefties well, so I'm maybe lean to it over. Also, but I'm with you, man. I like Harris a little bit. 2 and 3 in his last 5, but he has a low ERA, kind of meets that threshold that I like. 1.4 ERA in those 5 games. Oakland can be feisty at times, so I'm with you. I like Oakland as a road dog here.
Yeah, it's mostly just once again the uncertainty regarding Gallen.
Yeah,
if Gallen
maybe
was
go first 5.
Healthy,
first 5.
You could if you want to. I think Oakland's bullpen might, at least the back end, might be better than Arizona's. So that's kind of the reason why I'm not afraid of the bullpens here. But if Gallen was fully healthy and he was pitching for the last month, I'd be taking Arizona. But with that not being the case, I'm not going to go with Arizona laying this big of a price. Moving on to the next game, you have the Pirates taking on the Braves. For this one, you have a matchup between Fried and Skeens, so it should be a very fun one. Pittsburgh's plus 140. The Braves are minus 165, and the over-under in this game is set at 7.5. Skeens has been incredible. As good as you might have thought he's been even better. 4-0, 2.14 ERA. He could not have had a better start to rookie season. Fried has been very solid as well. 7.5, though, is pretty low for a total, but I get it. I think I'll go with the first 5 under 4. I just see a low-scoring game here. I think Skeens is good enough to pitch zeros. I think that the Braves can once again get some solid length from Fried. I like the under, but I'll go with the first 5 under because Pittsburgh's bullpen is atrocious. Give me the first 5 under in this one. I think you see a rock fight early. You?
Yeah, I like both. First 5 under and the full game. I just think both of these pitchers in good form. I mean, you ran off the Skeens stuff. He's been really good. And he's pitched against quality offenses as well. We saw what he did to the Dodgers when they were fully healthy. I thought he pitched really well there. And I mean, Atlanta's offense, I mean, I don't know if we can fully trust it. It's just up and down. I mean, I thought they were hitting a stride at one point in time, but they just kind of came back down to reality a little bit. And while they do hit better at home, I just don't know if I could trust them against Skeens the way he's playing. I like Pittsburgh in the first 5. Also to go along with the first 5 under and the full game under.
Yep, I can get behind that too. Moving on to the next game. On the card, you have the Padres taking on the Red Sox. For this one, you're looking at the Red Sox being favored about minus 145 with Houck on the mound against King, as the Padres are plus 125. For the over-under, you have the line being set at 9. Houck's been really good this season. Really no way around it. He is currently in possession of a 2.18 ERA. You're looking at King, who's been kind of up and down, but he does have a lot of talent. So we'll see how he looks. San Diego, we know, is the psycho team, so it's not a shock that they're around 500. The Red Sox have been playing good baseball lately, did lose the finale against the Blue Jays, and then ended up having the last game suspended. So point is, they have been in good form recently. I think Houck's solid. King has been a bit streaky. I'll go with the Red Sox. I just trust them a bit more than San Diego.
Yeah, tough for me. Both teams playing well. San Diego's actually 7-1 last 8, 53 runs in that span. They're over in 8 of their last 10. Boston's over in 7 of their last 10, 7+ runs in 6 of those 10 games. So I'm going over, Scott. I like the over 9. Maybe is there 8.5 out there? I think I saw 8.5 earlier. Maybe a juice a little bit.
I only see 9s.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Maybe that was earlier. Yeah, I understand both pitchers have been in pretty good form, but I think the offenses are going to prevail. Both teams hitting around 270 last 10. If you combine their runs, they're 11.7 runs per 9. I just think offense prevails here. So I'm looking for a slugfest this whole weekend with Padres and the Red Sox. So I'm going over that 9.
All right, moving on to the next game. You have the Nationals taking on the Rays. For this one, you have Irvin taking on Savali. You're looking at the Rays laying 135. The Nationals are plus 115. The over-under in this game is set at 7.5. First glance, 7.5 feels way too low. I get the argument the Nationals offensively have not exactly been amazing lately. Savali, though, is not very good. Been better recently, but he's been kind of alternating between good starts and bad starts, so I don't know what to really make of it. Point is, though, for the actual numbers and based on the stats, I got to go with Washington. I can't lay 135 with Savali. That's a crazy line. Tampa's not that good either. So it's not like I'm backing an elite team that has one underwhelming pitcher. It's an average team with a pretty underwhelming pitcher, and Irvin's been fine this season. So I'll go with the Nationals plus 115.
Yeah, I'm leaning to Tampa. I like the way Tampa's been playing as of late. I was on them last series. I thought that was a pretty good series for them to kind of wake up and get things going at home where they haven't been performing well. Well, to their expectation, like we normally see. They're 7-3 last 10, 46 runs in their last 7 wins, just wins only. They face some tough pitchers in that span as well. Kirby, Castillo, Skeens, Woods Richardson, Ryan, Jarrett Jones. So they've been pitching well. I know the Savali thing, he's been kind of up and down. He went from one earned to 4, 1 back to 4, and then now he just gave up 1 in his last 5. Irvin's got pretty good numbers. Not a lot of quality offenses that he's faced. Tampa's hitting the ball really well against lefties. 260 last 10, 5.9 runs per 9 in that span as well. I think they keep things going, Scott. I mean, I like Washington. I think we both were on them pretty much the past few times we've been on. I think it's going to be a good spot for Tampa again, being at home, and they've been there for about a week. So I like Tampa in this spot. I don't trust Savali fully, so just maybe a half unit play.
Do you agree about the over 7.5?
Absolutely agree. I think Tampa might can get there on their own, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll see how Irvin looks in this one, but that does feel like a total that's a bit too low.
Yep.
Moving on to the next game, you have the Dodgers taking on the Giants. You have Glass now taking on nobody. We have no listed pitcher for the Giants. Dodgers are minus 225. The Giants are plus 190, and the over-under in this game is set at 7.5. Yeah, I don't know if it matters who the Giants are using. I'm taking Glass now, who's been really good, and I just think that he is the much better pitcher than whoever the Giants throw out there. Give me the Dodgers minus 1.5.
Yeah, I'll probably be on that same wave, Scott. I mean, Glasnow has been really good. The Dodgers have owned this series as of late. So, I mean, obviously we don't know who's pitching. We never know who's pitching for the Giants. So,
no, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, maybe be on some K-props for Glasnow. But other than that, I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, not really anything else to add because we don't know who's pitching for the Giants. So moving on to the next game, you have the Rangers taking on the Orioles. For this one, you have Lorenzen taking on Povich. The Orioles are minus 140. The Rangers are plus 120. Lorenzen's been fine this season, 4-3, 3.04 ERA. Povich has been kind of underwhelming, and the over-under in this game is set at 9 or 9.5. Now, Baltimore is obviously the better team. The Rangers are 7 under. Damn, both World Series teams last year are horrible this year. But I do think for the sake of this matchup, Baltimore at home is still 27-16, and the Rangers are 17-25 on the road. Besides losing the first 2 games to Cleveland, they ended up winning the last game of that series and ended up dominating the first game I should say they dominated the last couple games they've played. So with that being the case, I like Baltimore's current form a bit more. Won the series opener 11-2 yesterday. At the end of the day, though, Baltimore being that much better than this team, only laying 140, I think it's a good price. I'll take the Orioles.
Yeah, I'm leaning the other way, but I'm not going to bet it. I'd rather Lorenzen in the first 5. So I'll go Texas first 5. That way we both can kind of win our bets. Lorenzen 2-3 last 5, 1.6 ERA. Again, I love those numbers. The losing record with the really good ERA has not allowed a ton of contact as well. That's pretty key when facing the Baltimore lineup. Both teams hitting the ball really well. Baltimore actually hitting almost 300 in the last 10. So maybe an over. I don't know if I want to trust Texas offense to get going, but I think early on is a way to go with Texas. So give me Texas first 5.
Yeah, I can get I can get behind that too. That was a hiccup. I think I can get behind that too. I just think at the end of the day, Baltimore, once again, getting that cheap number at home is pretty appealing.
Yeah, that's
they've
fair.
been that good in general.
Yeah,
moving on to the next game, you have the Tigers taking on the Angels. Tigers got shut down by a nobody yesterday, so probably not a good sign. You have Olsen pitching against Canning. You have the Angels at plus 105. You have the Tigers at minus 125. Over-under in this game is set at 8.5. Olsen was really good when the season started, then kind of fell apart, and now recently he has been okay again. So I guess he just had a series of hiccups, and then he bounced back. Last 2 starts, 12 1/3, only 2 runs allowed. Canning was not very good, but then he was good against Oakland last time out. So I think I like the under in this game. I don't trust either offense to do anything on a given basis. Detroit especially, they had one insane outing against Canning, and they've been awful for the last couple weeks besides that. And the Angels are okay offensively compared to the Tigers, but Olsen's been good lately. So I like the under. I think that this total's too high. I think 8.5 is asking for a lot when these teams both can't hit. So I'll go with the under. Give me another ugly, random, 4-2 game.
Yeah, I love the under. Is it still 8.5, right?
Yes, it's 8.5.
Yeah. I love the under. Is the Halos, they're still plus money?
Yes. The Tigers are minus 125 and the Angels are plus 105.
Yeah, I mean, I can't trust the Tigers. The offense has been atrocious, man. 2 runs or less in 8 of the 10 games, so they can't even hit the ball. Both teams are hitting under 215 in their last 10. Detroit under 200 versus righties their last 10. I don't know how you can trust an offense to do anything here. The Halos hit the ball decently, a lot better than what Detroit has been. So I lean on a better offense. Olsen, don't trust them. So give me the under in a low-scoring game. Thinking maybe see 3-2, 2-1 type of game. So I like the home dog and the under.
Even if you do trust them, they don't win any of his starts.
Yeah,
they don't score whenever he's actually pitching. So I like the under anyway. And
Yeah.
moving on to the last game, actually making record time here on the show. You have the Twins taking on the Mariners. For this one, you have Seattle at around even money. You have the Twins at minus 120. The over-under in this one is set at 7.5. You have Miller taking on Lopez. Lopez, one of the most frustrating pitchers so far this season.
Oh my God.
Feels like he is on the verge of decent outings, and then he blows up. But he has been alternating. 8 innings and no runs, 14 strikeouts against Oakland last time out. Start before that, he sucked. 4 innings, 5 runs against Tampa. 5 innings, 2 runs against the Rockies. 4 innings, 7 runs against the Yankees. 7 innings, 1 run against the Astros. Just the ultimate psycho pitcher so far this season. Miller, though, looking at his numbers, he has been fine for the most part, as he is at 6-6 with a 3.9 ERA. Minnesota's favored, but I don't actually trust Lopez, and Miller at home has been really good. A 1.82 ERA at home. Did struggle his last outing and a half or so, as he ended up giving up 6 runs against the Marlins and gave up 3 runs, 2 earned against Cleveland. But those are both on the road. At home, his last 2 home starts, 13 innings and no runs. So I'm going to go with Miller here. I think Seattle's actually mispriced. I don't trust Lopez at all, so I'll go with Seattle in this one.
Yeah, I'm actually leaning to Minnesota. I think Minnesota is a team to look out for. As long as they don't have to play the Yankees, they're in good form. I like the over as well. Minnesota's 3-1 against them this year. All 3 of those games did go over. Earned runs in those 3 games were 12, 9, and 16. The average total was like 7.5. So I think we can get over this number. Minnesota playing really well. 61 runs over the last 8 overs, and they're over in 8 of the last 10. They're hitting almost 300, so the offense is really propped up. I mean, I know some of those were kind of in those big. I think they had an 11-run game and a 16-run game in there. But even if you take those out, the averages are still there. The bullpen for Seattle has been really bad last 10, 5.28 ERA, 6.21 runs per 9. So if Miller can't give you a lot of length, then you might be trouble against this lineup. Miller's been blown up twice in his last 4 starts, 13 earned runs, and 4 of his last 6 starts have went over. You mentioned Lopez, kind of erratic pitcher, 4-1 last 5, 3.0 ERA. Last 3 versus Seattle though, 1.7 ERA, 5 hits, 8 Ks. He shut Seattle down back in May, 1 earned runs and 6 innings pitched, 10 Ks. So I'm going to trust him here. I'm going to trust Minnesota here as well. Honestly, Scott, we might can go right into lock and dog because this was going to be my lock. I like Minnesota a lot here in this series and in this game.
Yeah, but we got to get paid, so I got to do the ads first.
That's
but
first.
We can
That's
mention
fair.
that in a second. But point is, for this matchup, you could be right, but I don't trust Lopez on a start-in, start-out basis.
That's
So
fair.
I think I'll lead to Seattle at home. Either way, though, that's going to wrap it up for all the games. 15 games in about 30 minutes. Not too bad of a time for us. Either way, though, might be the show record. Time to get into the actual lock and dog picks. But before we get into that, do want to remind me once again, we are brought to you by Rhythm, because if you're betting on player props, you need to get Rhythm, because Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter, data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easier and more enjoyable. The predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants over 3 years of data to help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. Rhythm also has predictions and projections for WNBA and golf. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Just finished getting into all the games on the Saturday card. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. Lonte, you spoiled the damn thing because you already said you're locking. But what are your lock and dog picks?
Yeah, so I'm going to go Minnesota. If you want to get feisty and go with the run line, I mean, they're going to get all 9 at bats. I just think that if Miller can't go any length, that they're going to have trouble in that bullpen, especially how they've been going as of late. So I like Minnesota. I'm a Minnesota fan. I got a few futures on them, just hoping they just don't run into the Yankees for whatever reason. Actually, they might be able to beat the Yankees if they run into them right now. But yeah, I'm going Minnesota. I think they have a big series here. I know erratic Lopez is kind of up and down, but he's had some success against them. So maybe he can keep it going. Hopefully for my pocket's sake, he can. So I'm going Minnesota, locking them up. As for the dog, Scott, I'm going against our Yankees, man. I'm going Toronto. They're still a small dog, right? I see plus like 102, 101.
Yeah, plus 105.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's even better. Yeah, I just like the way Toronto's been trending lately on offense. Yankees trending down. Bassett's been really good, especially against the Yankees. Like I mentioned, his last 3 starts, ERA of 1 and 21 innings pitched. Don't let the last 5 record fool you. He's 1-4, but the ERA is really low, under 2. So I like Toronto to kind of keep the offense going and get it done at home. So I like Toronto at plus 105 for the dog.
All right. So for my lock, I am going to go with the under 8.5 in that Tigers and Angels game. Think that line's too high. Canning has not been great this season, but he was good last time out. So we'll see if he can duplicate that. But it's mostly these offenses just not being very good. Olsen so far this season has a good ERA. His record's horrible because they never score runs for him, but you are looking at his last 2 starts, only giving up 2 runs in 12 2/3. I think he's been fine for the most part. ERA is basically the same home and road. For Canning, once again, not a great season, but he was good last time out, and the Tigers can't hit. So I think 8.5 is too high. I'll go with the under there. Slight juice. I think it's around minus 120, I believe. So I'll go with that as my lock at minus 120. I'll just quickly confirm that that's the best price I can find. Is there a minus 110? I doubt it. I see minus 122. For the 8.5. So give me the under there as my lock. For my dog, I thought about doing Toronto run line, actually.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure if I want to do it. I got to see what the price is, but I'm not sure I'm even going to have a price at this point. So I think I'm going to do it anyway. You mentioned Toronto. I mean, plus 105. That doesn't even count as a dog, really. So I'll go with the run line instead. Give me Toronto minus 1.5. I think Bassett's going to pitch relatively well. Cortez has been struggling on the road. The entire Yankees rotation has fallen apart simultaneously. So I don't see Cortez on the road fixing that. Give Give me Toronto, who's been in good form offensively lately, -1.5. Price to be determined later. Before we officially wrap up the show, though, it is time for the home run prediction portion. It is time for dingers, 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 or in other words, the daily dingers. Lonte, I'm going to let you go first. What is your home run pick for Saturday?
I'm searching through trying to find one. Let's go with Let's go. I'm trying to go off the board as well.
But right now there is no board, so it's all you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean like something that's not like popular. Let's go with Logan O'Hop or O'Hope, however they say his last name.
Okay.
Let's go off him. He came off the he got the day off on Wednesday, so he'll be prepped for the weekend and be ready to go. He homered in a win. When was this? This was this week. I forgot the team against the Dodgers. He homered. So yeah, I think he's gonna have a good day. I think he have a good week actually against the Tigers pitching, especially against Olsen in the lineup. So give me Logan O'Hop to go deep.
Okay. For mine, usually you have a lot of really bad pitchers to choose from. This year, not so much. I mean, I feel like most of the time there are a couple of bad starters out there you can blindly fade. Not many of those on the card.
Good weekend.
I might actually go back to that Toronto and Yankees game. I might go for one with a decent price because I really don't want to I don't want to take Judge and like any of these guys. I'm gonna go Bo Bichette. He has not hit a home run in a long time. I'm aware of that. In fact, he's had no home runs since May 27th. But he has owned Cortez in his career. So far in his career against Nestor, his numbers are absolutely insane. So to pull it up, he's had 14 at-bats against Cortez. He's 8 for 13 with a walk with 2 home runs. So he has a .615 batting average against Cortez. That's good enough for me. Cortez has given up 13 home runs this season. So I thought about Springer, thought about Vlad. But you know what? I kind of like what the plus money price might be on Bichette. Maybe he's in line for one, but I think that he is a guy that has owned Cortez in his career, and I think it's a good spot for him. So give me Bo Bichette with what might be a massive price. So I'll go swinging for the fences here. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. He might as well. They've been hitting the ball well, especially at the top of that lineup. Bichette still batting fourth? He was batting fourth at one point in time when they were kind of shaking up the lineup. Is he still batting cleanup?
I want to say that he was batting leadoff yesterday, but I'm not sure if he was.
Okay, he was batting cleanup for a while. I think they were kind of just trying to find a rhythm or shake up to get things going. But yeah, I like Bichette. I thought he was going to be a good trade piece, somebody that we could pick up. But
he let off yesterday.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's
fine.
But
point is, Bichette, his numbers against Cortez, I'll back the head-to-head. I'll give me him, which should be a nice price. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Lonte, officially, before we end the stream, I can let you end the stream if you want to, since you have access to it.
I'm good. I'm good.
Let the people know where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, XX, Lonte XX. Not a lot of political takes, so don't come there if you're looking for that. Yeah, I'll put the picks up in Tally site as well. Looking forward to a great weekend of baseball. And looking forward to some winners. Hopefully we can get back on track. I didn't have the best week last week. Doing okay this week. But yeah, looking forward to being back with you, Scott, on Sunday to discuss hopefully the winners and the great weekend that we had.
Yeah, find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Did a WNBA episode for tonight and for tomorrow's game, so check that out as well. Did an NBA show with Munaf today, breaking down some of the early championship odds for next year, and we went through some of the news stories in the NBA. Got a tennis show later, also Wimbledon coming up, so I will be doing an article for SGPN, and I will be doing multiple episodes for the preview on the men's and women's tournaments. Until next time, though, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.